Hello and welcome to this Linkability Live with Lynnaire. Thank you so much for joining us today, where we have a very special guest, Hannah Morgan, who is going to talk to us about how to use LinkedIn to get your next job. More on Hannah in just a moment. We are really pleased to have today a large audience of people all around the world, and so we welcome your questions, which Hannah will answer at the end of our discussion about job seekers and LinkedIn. Also, in our chat today, we have two of our team members, Cher Ferguson and Gillian Moore, and they're there to answer any technical questions, just to respond with links and to put in other information into the comments that you will need to know. Now, one of the things that we have put together for today's Linkability Live is a PDF of the new LinkedIn features and changes that there've been both this year and last year as they relate to job searching. So that PDF is going to be added as a link for you over at our linkability.biz website. Now, this is a member site, but you can access this one for free, and you are very welcome to have a wee look around while you're there, see what kind of information is on offer, and even give it a trial for 7 days for free if you would like to do so. So that link will be popping up in the comments for you for the PDF for today's show. Now, it is a very great pleasure for me to have with me today Hannah Morgan. Now, Hannah's from the United States. She's a LinkedIn top voice for job search and careers, and really, she is just the best there is online. And it is with no little bit of envy that I say Hannah has 300,000 followers on her LinkedIn profile. Hannah, that's just amazing. And I'm so pleased that our mutual friend Gillian Whitney suggested that I reach out to you and ask if you would like to come and talk to us today about LinkedIn for job search. So thank you, Gillian, and it is a pleasure to have you with us today, Hannah.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here, Lynnaire, and thank you to everybody who is joining us from around the world. This is really a fun time on LinkedIn, and it's a hard time for job seekers. We know that. So let me tell you a little bit about my background. I run a company called CareerSherpa.net. .com was taken. I couldn't get that, so I'm .net, just so that everyone knows. What I have always told people is that I help people understand how to look for work better. There are no written instructions for job search, so it can become convoluted, and we rely on what we think we should be doing. And what I've been doing in articles that I've been writing and the lives that I've done and the books that I've written, I try to straighten things out, give you the lowdown, the straight out, this is how job search works, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that. And I do that because I care. I deeply care. I worked with a lot of people in the United States during the pandemic, or during the Great Recession. And that was really, really hard. I actually got my start before that. I was in human resources and did a lot of hiring and things like that. But what I love doing is giving people hope, because there is an end to this. Everybody will get a job. It may not be the perfect job right off the bat, but everything happens for a reason. And so everything that I have been doing throughout my career for the last many years is to just impart knowledge. And I love talking to recruiters. I have a close connection with a lot of recruiters that keep me up to date with what's going on and what they're seeing with changes in AI and all of that. So, and there's a great community of career coaches that works collaboratively to share ideas. So I'm really fortunate.
Well, there's a great community of LinkedIn coaches and strategists that work together to help each other as well. So I'm very pleased to hear that it works that way in recruitment as well. So the things we want to talk about today, Hannah, are first of all, how LinkedIn profiles need to be put together really well for recruitment, for looking for new jobs. We want to look at the new features, some of the things that you think are standouts from the new features in the last couple of years. Some strategies that you think are worth trying out for people who are looking for new work. Some secret tips, of course. So people who are on this particular Linkability Live will have some extra really cool things to take away and give a shot to. So again, if anybody has questions, please put them in the comments and Hannah will answer those once she and I have given you all the gem on all these fantastic ideas about job search. All right, so I want to start with LinkedIn profiles. Now, we all know that a compelling LinkedIn profile is what makes you stand out head and shoulders from other people. Now, that's whether you're looking for a new job, you're looking for new customers, you just want to network with people who are in your industry. A good profile is really super important. So what I want to do is to ask you, first of all, what are the main features on profiles that are the most essential for job seekers to do and do well? Because of course we all know that it's easy to do something just a bit laissez-faire, but how do you do it well? That's what I really want to know.
So the headline, of course, is always going to be one of the most important things. And here's what I will say: you want to have what LinkedIn refers to as an all-star or a complete profile. And when you're looking at your LinkedIn profile, it's going to LinkedIn will tell you these are the suggestions we want you to take to have an all-star profile. So completeness is important. Now let's talk about quality. And that headline has to be really clear about what you are looking for. And this becomes challenging. And then this is why it's important for job seekers to have a focus. So there's a lot of different formulas that you'll see out there. They're LinkedIn headline generators, but the basic formula is put the job title that you are seeking, 3 skills that hard skills that that are qualifying you to do that. It could be a certification, it could be a technology, it could be a skill, and then the value that you deliver. So it's your value prop. And you have that full 280 characters to use, and it takes some wordsmithing, but put that as a job title you aspire to, 3 hard skills, and your value prop, and you've got it.
Wow, you make it sound so very easy. And as
It's so
someone who
hard. It's the hardest thing. And here's the
well, tip, yeah, please do share a tip with us if you've got a tip about how to do headlines really well. That'd be great.
no. So, you can play around with it in Word for as long as you want, but at some point you're going to pull the trigger and put it up there. I say leave it up for 2 weeks. If you've got more people looking at your profile because of the headline you've changed, then guess what? It's working, right? And LinkedIn, even for the free users, lets us see how many people are looking at our profile and how many people are looking at what we've posted. So at the free level, write that number down today. That's the first thing that I want you to do. I want you to go to your LinkedIn profile and write down those 3 numbers. How many people have looked at your post? How many people have looked at your profile? And what's the other one? I'll never remember. There's another one. Write down those 3 numbers that LinkedIn is recording for you today before you've made any changes, so that in 2 weeks after you've made all the wonderful changes that we're suggesting tonight, you will know whether or not it's working. If those numbers are much higher, guess what? What you did worked. It doesn't mean it's perfect, but it means it's working. So that's that.
Right. We're going to start with the headline, but once you've already put down your metrics, and I really do agree with you about keeping an eye on your numbers, because you don't know that you're getting better if you haven't got a starting point,
Right.
have you? So that does make a lot of sense to me. All right. So the headline is the most important thing, or the first thing to start with. What's
About
your
section.
second? Yeah, the about section. Tell us about what should go in the about section. And I'm so pleased it's been moved back to the top, I must say.
I know LinkedIn's silly. They move stuff around, but the about section is so important. I love to tell people that this is the answer. If you're sitting down with a recruiter or a hiring manager and they say, "Tell me about yourself," this is your chance to explain how you got where you are today in your career and the things that you really are great at doing, and maybe even some of these successes that you have, right? So it's nowhere else. It may have been in your cover letter, right? But for the most part, nobody's going to know this stuff unless you tell them, and you don't want to wait until the interview for them to learn this really important stuff about you. So, what inspired you to get into your career, or what? How did you get where you are today? What lights you up about the work that you do? And what are the things that you really love doing? What are the problems you love solving? And then some of those accomplishments. So baked into that are key skills that recruiters are looking for. So you'll have to do a little of that matching at some point, but the first draft is always those things. I think the other thing that we want to put in there, it has to be nice white space, right? You don't want just one big
Mm.
blob of text, because that's not how humans process information. They need to be short sentences, and if you need to use some kind of fancy bullet things that you can copy and paste in there diligently, um, make it look easy on the eye. Make it categorize it, and make it easy for people to skim, because believe it or not, nobody is reading everything. They're skimming. So make it skimmable. I love to
I like
suggest
that idea.
people put in a little so to have email just for job search, but it makes it easy for people to contact you. Not everybody
Mm.
subscribes to the LinkedIn Recruiter or has the ability to message you, and you've just made it that much easier for somebody to contact you.
I like that idea. I also think having your contact info section all filled out is a very good one. And my last point about the about section is, I believe, and you can tell me whether you think that this is right or wrong for job seekers, is that it should be written in the first person, Hannah. So that's I, me, not they, he, she, they.
Yes, and that's what makes the LinkedIn profile different than a resume, right?
Yeah.
Because the resume is written in sort of that without personal pronouns. In on LinkedIn, we are writing this for ourselves, and it's one of the ways people feel they get to know you and hear your voice in writing is by using the personal pronouns I, me, my. Absolutely great.
So we've looked at the headline and we've looked at the about section, which are both text based. What about visuals? Now, when I first joined LinkedIn, way back in the dark ages, there weren't many visuals that you could add. Now it's such an amazingly visual platform. I just love it. So we've got our profile photo, obviously, and we'd like to hope that it's nice and professional and head and shoulders and up close with a nice big smile. We've got the banner, which I think is really important because it's the first thing that people see. What other places on our profiles can we use really well with visuals so that we stand out from potentially other candidates who might be vying for the same job?
Yeah. And here's what we know about visuals, because I wrote a whole book about using visuals for job search. I wrote a book called The Infographic Resume. And that is
Available on Amazon, everybody. I've got a link for that for you for that.
because we are visual creatures. We learn through visuals. And so not everyone is going to be great at creating an infographic resume, but I give some tips and tools on how to do that. But if we often have different visuals that apply to our career, maybe it's a photo of you winning an award, or maybe it is an article that you wrote in some industry publication, or maybe it is an event you went to with a bunch of people for fun. like a professional event. Maybe you spoke at a professional event. Or maybe it's just a graphic that highlights your career in some way, shape, or form. The featured section is the greatest place to put that, right? It's right
Yeah.
up top. And it's just another way for people to get to know you. You know, I've also seen people who aren't comfortable creating an infographic resume. They actually create a PowerPoint about themselves.
Mhm.
And that's another thing that could go there. Visuals, stop the skimming, and it focuses the reader on it catches the reader's eye. So I'm a huge believer in using visuals. They stand out. I will tell you, the vast majority of people do not use visuals in their LinkedIn profile. So by virtue of you doing it, that you're already standing out.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. The other thing I find that people are not doing, which I think they're really missing a trick on, especially now, and that is the use of video, Hannah. And it's a little more tricky to put video into the featured section, but I'm fairly certain they're going to change that, judging by some recent information about some beta testing that they're doing. But I really think that having an introductory video about yourself is a good idea. Now, up until the end of last year, you could have one that sat nicely in behind your profile photo, but
Right.
then they took that away, unfortunately. So do you think having a video is a good way for people to stand out for the job seekers?
You know what? I'm on the fence because not everyone is good behind the camera. There are some people that are not comfortable, and when they're not comfortable, they don't come across genuine, right? And oftentimes they don't know what to say. And so what they end up doing is sort of reading their summary from their resume, and that's not really helpful
No.
because that's repeating information. If you want to do a video, I think it's brilliant. There are a lot of really creative marketing people who I've seen use video for their job search, and it just comes naturally to them, and because they think creatively about what their message is. And they can do that well. But to have just a talking head and say, "Hi, I'm Hannah Morgan. I'd like to introduce myself." If I'm not comfortable behind the camera, I think it comes across more harmful than it does helpful.
You need to ask other people about the video you've recorded and ask them for an honest opinion, I'm
Absolutely.
guessing. Because I think it's very difficult, Hannah, for us to be able to recognize what is good and what isn't, and what's authentic and how it comes across, because we're subjective about it. So
Absolutely.
asking people for an objective opinion, I think, is a good idea. Well, I'm a fan of video. Just putting my hand up for that one, because I think that if I can master it, well, that's debatable, but if I can master it, anybody can. It just takes practice. And it's really difficult to get over oh, I'm terrible, I really can't do this, I don't know how to do it. But I do think that it is something that in 2024 we all need to know how to do, and we all need to feel comfortable with it. And I think it's a good skill for everybody who wants to advance in their career to
I,
have.
I absolutely agree with everything that you said. So I don't want to discourage people, but I want them to be very thoughtful about
I agree.
making sure it's good quality.
Absolutely, particularly if you are looking for a new job and you hope people are going to come to your LinkedIn profile. To
Right.
do that, you want to impress people, not repel them. So I think that is really good advice. All right, so let me ask then about recommendations on profiles and how important that is for the job seeker.
The what part of the profile?
The recommendations.
Oh, recommendations. You know, if you ask recruiters, are they looking at the recommendations? Most of the recruiters that I have talked with globally are saying no, they don't pay attention to the
Mm.
recommendations. They might use them as sort of a tiebreaker. If they've looked at three different profiles, one profile has recommendations and one profile doesn't. Well, I'm going to go with a profile with recommendations. But for a lot of them, they're not concerned about that at the initial screening stage. They may
Okay.
go back after they've spoken to you and do a deeper dive into your profile. But as an immediate screening, it's not absolutely a deal breaker to not have any. It's never bad to have them. Right? Never
Yeah.
a bad idea to have them because and it's not just for job seekers, right? It's also for anybody who's trying to jump up in their career? What have other people said about you? If you're looking for a promotion internally, I'm going to look at the recommendations about what people have said about you. So I think recommendations are always a good thing, and we want to make sure that we're keeping up with those, right? Not only are we giving them, which is the best way to get them, but we're also keeping that fresh. And I'm guilty of this. Like, I think my last recommendation was from like a long time ago, right? So it's not hard. We just have to be purposeful and mindful on getting those recommendations. It's always a good thing.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I wanted to move on now to ask about market value filters. Now, this is a really complicated term coined by our friend Kevin Turner about how to use the search functions of LinkedIn, or how to fill in your profile properly so that you get found in searches. And so I wondered whether you might explain how that works, because it's not as easy as it sounds, but from what Kevin says, it is really important for people who are looking for new jobs.
Right. So let's talk about sort of the first place where we come across this is when we go to enter our work experience, and they ask us for the company. So we type in the company, and we do it all, and we think we've got the company right. But what we should do is make sure that we start typing the company and pay attention to the companies that LinkedIn prompts us to add. Right. So there might be different versions of the company, and you just want to make sure that you're selecting the right company. The next spot where you start doing this, and it's even more important, is when you start to type your job title. LinkedIn has tried to make universal titles for jobs, because every company calls people something different, and it becomes very confusing. So LinkedIn tries to use these market value titles to keep us all on the same page and to speak a common language. So when you do that, you start typing the job, you want to pick the job that LinkedIn, as you start typing your job title, you want to pick the job title that most closely matches from the drop down menu. And that's what you want to start with. You don't have to end there, but that's going to be the first job title, part of your job title that you use. One of the things that's more important, so you want to use the drop down prompted LinkedIn market value title that LinkedIn is recommending, but you can add on to that. So if you want to add another job title that is, in my world, I was called an employee development consultant. Well, that job title,
Woo!
that job title doesn't mean anything. Basically, I was an HR generalist. So to be honest, and to make myself feel good, and to get my job title aligned with my resume, I'm going to say human resource generalist. And I know that's one of the popular titles that LinkedIn uses. And then I'm going to call myself employee development consultant, recruiting and HR. Right? I'm going to be more descriptive in my job title than just the drop down, especially when we look at project manager. Like, if I just say that I'm a project manager, people have no idea what kind of project manager I am. It's really important in that title. I'm going to use project manager. That's from the drop down menu, but I'm going to describe that I am a training and development department lead that helps people understand what kind of a project manager I am. There's so many different types of project managers. So that's where the market value comes into play. We want to use the job titles that LinkedIn is recommending. The other place this comes into play, and Kevin Turner told me this, and I didn't realize, and it's so important, is under your education. Again, you want to make sure you're using the right school, and the right degree. So
That makes
from the
sense.
pull down menu that LinkedIn provides.
I think that also geographically having the right location is important. Kevin's also talked about making sure that you use the location in your headline or in your profile intro, that is actually one of the ones that LinkedIn has listed, because it seems to change them at the drop of a hat. So one of the tips that I often give people is that your profile might be finished for now and you've done all these amazing things to it, but you need to check it again on a regular basis to make sure that all the links are working, that everything that you've put in all those drop down menus is still on LinkedIn's list, and so you are still coming up in the searches. So I want to move on, but is there anything else about profiles that you'd like to mention before I do, Hannah?
There is one other thing that I want to mention, and that LinkedIn has now allowed people to use Career Gap for
Yeah.
different job when you're in between jobs,
Mhm.
and I think that's great. It's wonderful, right? It allows us to fill that gap. But where it gets into trouble is if we are no longer working. In other words, we don't have a current job. Our last job ended in July of 2024, and we don't have a current job listed in our LinkedIn profile. That's actually hurting the strength of our profile.
Okay.
Um, LinkedIn prefers people to have an active employment. And
Mhm.
so if you don't, then your ranking is below those profiles that are actively ranked. So even if you put a career break in there, it counts as being actively having something there, but it doesn't count as high as having a job. So using a career break for your most current role is not the best approach.
Okay, and I can see that that could cause some difficulties for people who might have left a company and don't want it to say that they are still there,
Right.
right? So that can be a tricky one. But I imagine that depends a lot on the person's individual circumstances, probably beyond the scope of what we're discussing
Right. But it's
today.
important to note, right? Yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think the career gap is great because there are so many different options that you can
Mhm.
use or choose for that. So and lots of positive ones. All right. So you've got a fantastic profile. Let's move on to then some of the features that you can use LinkedIn for in order to help with your job search. Now, you know me, I'm all about new features and love making sure that I'm on top of all of these. Less so probably for ones to do with job seeking. But when I went through the list of new features for last year and this year, which numbered close to 300, I might add, I found quite a raft of them specifically for job seekers, which was quite amazing. And so what I'd like to do is to ask if you could take us through some of the ones that you think are the most useful from this crop of new job features or changes for last year and for this year. And just before you do, I will just remind people that we do have a PDF that has the full list of all of these on it, and that's available from the link that's in the comments over at our website, linkability.biz, which of course is our member site as well. So please do have a bit of a nosy around while you're there. So Hannah, tell us, what of all of these new features are the ones that you are really excited about?
There's so many. One of the things that we didn't talk about in the profile, and this is one of the features that I want to stress is really a great feature from the new additions. The skills section is really important, and you can list skills underneath your job as well as in the skills section. So you can have a 100 skills now, which I didn't realize you could have that many. So that's crazy.
I don't have 100 skills, really.
I
Serious.
know. So what LinkedIn is doing now, is when you look at a job description, it will say you have 3 out of the 10 skills matching for
Okay.
this job description. And so what that means is from my profile skills section and the skills that the employer recruiter has put in the job description as being required, I matched 3 out of the 7 or 10, whatever number I said. So if you don't have premium, you'll see some of those that I think it told you 5 altogether. You won't see all of them. But if you have premium, it will tell you these are all of the ones that you don't match up with. So that gives you the ability to add those skills to your profile so that you look like a better match. So I think that that's a great thing. The other thing that LinkedIn has, again for premium, is it tells you which jobs you're a good match for based on your skills and the job that you're looking for and the skills that the job is requiring. So it sort of filters those to the top. These are good match jobs for you. So again, it's for premium only, but it's a nice function that's going to save you, draw your attention, I think, to jobs that you might not have thought would be a good fit for you. Um, uh, I want people to actually go to that jobs tab and follow the instructions, right? Because I think so often we get caught up in taking action that we don't really do everything that we're supposed to do. In the you can specify this is the kind of job that I'm looking for. These are the job titles, and more is better. Think of those market value titles and use those, and you can list 3, 4, 5, as many as you want that are closely related. So list those job titles. You can list the part-time, full-time, remote, all of that kind of stuff, where you want to work. That gets married to your profile, and then you can say to recruiters, these are the kinds of jobs I'm interested in. So they can see that. Um, so that's all good stuff that we should be doing. And if we just take the time to read everything, it's all there. We'll do our job well. Um, and then we can look at the jobs that are being recommended. Some of those jobs are based on our preferences, but then sometimes they're jobs that LinkedIn thinks we should be looking at because they're similar. And that could be a great way for you to just catch any jobs that you might not have thought of before. And sometimes they're junk, but you just never know. And that's a nice, especially in the beginning stages, it gives you that opportunity to catch jobs that you may not have thought of. So again, it's reading and understanding, okay, these are the jobs that are coming up because I've specified, and these are the jobs LinkedIn thinks I should be looking at, for better or for worse. Um, the other good thing is that now we know how long that job has been up on LinkedIn. So there's a timestamp. And that's important for job seekers, because if a job has been up for 3 months and you're just applying now, your chances aren't very good. You really want to be one of those people to apply early in the process. And by early, I mean that first week. Um, and if you miss that window, you miss the window. I mean, if you don't see it, but this is why it's important for you to say, in your criteria, I want to see all the new jobs that have come up in the last week, so that you're not missing those kinds of things. The other thing that I want to say is that don't get discouraged when you see that 1,000 people have applied for this job, because it doesn't mean that 1,000 people have actually completed the application. It means that LinkedIn is saying 1,000 people have clicked the apply now, but it does not mean they completed the application. So it could be there are a lot of people just wanting to read more detail or see what's really being asked for in the application. So don't let that number discourage you. If you also have premium, it will tell you a lot about the other people that have applied for that job, what's their background, what skills they have, what their educational attainment is. Again, I don't necessarily care so much. I just care about me, and am I going to be a good match for that job? But it does, give you that information as a premium member. Um, the other thing that I want you to pay attention to when you are filling out that job application on LinkedIn, or you're reading that job posting on LinkedIn, some companies will show you, not all companies do this. Some will have at the very bottom, very, very bottom, you gotta scroll to the very bottom, apply for or share that I am interested in working for this company. And if that is a company that you would love to work for, then you want to click on, I'm interested in other jobs at this company, because recruiters, the people with the LinkedIn recruiting package, can see this on their end of the screen. And it's a nice way for them to weed out the people that are more interested from those people who are not necessarily really interested. So again, go to the very, very, very bottom of that job posting so that you can see if that is a function. The other thing that is fun, and I think it's just for premium, at the top of the job posting, remind me, I can't remember, is meet the hiring team. So you can see the HR people, the person or people that are responsible for that job, and then LinkedIn gives you the option to message them. And then if you've got premium, it will make that message, it will allow you to use AI to word that message properly. I'm not sure about all of that messaging part, but at least you know who that person is on LinkedIn. And after you've applied, I would highly recommend, after you've applied, sending a message to that person and expressing why you are interested in that job and why you are qualified. Not all of the reasons, but because it's an email, people aren't, they're skimming, right? So the top 3 reasons that you're qualified for that job. You've done double duty. You've applied, and now you're following up saying, I've applied and this is why I'm interested. I think that works really well. Messaging recruiters on LinkedIn works well because we know they are living on LinkedIn. Most other people, when we talk about networking and trying to get on, meet new people, I want you all to think about this for a second. Before you were job searching, how much time did you actually spend on LinkedIn? Right? Most people are not diving into LinkedIn daily. And so you're not, it can get frustrating for you as a job seeker when you message somebody on LinkedIn and they don't respond. We know recruiters are living there. So they're a different area, but the general Joe worker, they're not always there. So we'll have to take some extra strategies, and we'll talk about that later. But
I need to remember that too. So that makes sense to me. Hannah, you talked amongst that a bit about AI and the use of AI, and so I want to cover both the use of AI and premium, because you've mentioned that several times. So I want to start with premium, I think, because it's important for people to know whether or not they need premium in order to apply for jobs, and whether that is the best approach, or whether they can do just as good a job on a free account, at least to begin with.
So I tell people all the time, I built my 300,000 followers without premium. I'm pretty selective about who I connect with. I have over 6,000 or 6,000 contact or 6,000 people in my network, and that's by my choice. But I did all that without premium. So if you're willing to do work, I think it's absolutely possible to achieve great things on LinkedIn if you've got a great profile and you're active and you're doing all that stuff without premium. However, what I'm seeing with some of these features on LinkedIn, I think it's going to make your life easier when it comes to applying for jobs and finding those skills, and really being able to. The other thing is very cool is when you look at who's viewed your profile with a premium, and that new change that you can now see people who can help find a job, people who work at the company that you follow, an influencer or a senior leader, those different categories of people who are interesting viewers. Some of that stuff is valuable, good data if you're going to use it. And that's what I love saying to job seekers. LinkedIn is the only social media platform that lets people know that we've looked at somebody's profile. None of the other ones do that, right? And so we do that. When job seekers do that, they do it just to curious. I'm just curious to see who's looking at my profile. I say, and I have always said, please take it a step further. Use this feature to its fullest benefit. If somebody has looked at your profile and they're at a company that you are interested in, why would you not send them a message and say, I was so excited to see that you looked at my profile. I'd love to answer any questions that you might have, or maybe we can have a quick chat.
That's not just for job seekers, Hannah. That's for all of us. That is really, really good advice. And I'll admit that I'm guilty of not doing that, and I really should do it a lot more, because you're right. It's always interesting to see who has looked at your profile and also your company page to see, because they're already showing interest in who you are and what you do, right? And so if you don't take it that next step further and they don't, for whatever reason, then you've lost that opportunity, and it might be they just got sidetracked and got busy and they never got around to sending you that message, or they wanted to send a personalized one and they didn't have that availability still for that month. I think there are a lot of reasons why people would look at your profile and then not take the next step. So we need to do that. We need to just give them a bit of a hand. So I think that's
Yeah.
really good advice. I really like that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we
so let's talk
need
about premium. So
Yeah.
let's talk about premium for a second. So I want everybody on this call to max out and do everything that they can do with the free version, right? Take advantage of everything that you can take advantage of, and see how far you get. And if you're making progress, then great. You don't need the premium. But if you're not making progress, or you find that you really would like to be able to send more in-mails, or you really need, because there are ways around sending in-mails. I mean, you just need to connect with need to get them to be a second degree connection, which isn't actually all that hard. So there are ways around it. And as I said, I never needed premium. But exhaust all your options before you feel the need to upgrade to premium, if you decide you want to do that. The other thing that I will say is that LinkedIn often says that offers a 30-day free trial. Well, before you take advantage of that, I want you to make a list of all of the wonderful features that you want to use that are premium features, like the in-mails, like the courses, like all of these AI features for job skills matching, right? I want you to make a list of all that stuff so that you can cram all of that in to that 1 month. And then you can decide, was this really worth what I might be paying in the future? I'm very frugal, right?
I think that's very wise because LinkedIn is not inexpensive, and it took me a long time to get to the point where I was prepared to pay for premium. Now, of course, I wouldn't be without it, but I have a couple of points on that. First of all, we did a LinkedIn Live recently about the premium features. It might have been an audio event. I can't remember. Anyway, as part of that, we put together a PDF of all of the premium features that LinkedIn offers. And so either Cher or Gillian will put that into the comments, the link for that, and you can download that and have a look at it. And the second thing is that I have available 4 invitations for 2 months worth of premium for free as a trial, if anybody would like to try it out. Now, you have to use the link within 2 weeks to activate it, and you have to not have used premium or paid for premium before. So I've got 4 of those available for 2 months for people as a free trial for premium if you'd like to try it. For that, you'll need to send me a direct message, please.
That's awesome. Very
All
generous
right.
of you.
Well, I think it's what it does do, and I have to confess I'm not a fan of this, but I know that a lot of people are. It does give you access to the AI features, and there is a lot of that on LinkedIn at the moment, and becoming more so. In fact, you can't move without it. And I suspect that while I'm not terribly fussed about it right now, that it will get much better very, very quickly. And so I think there's likely to be a role for AI in what we are doing, whether we are looking for a new job or using LinkedIn for something completely different. So
Right.
I would be interested to hear your opinion about the use of the AI features for job seekers, because there are quite a few that are available.
Right.
And on that list we've got.
There's so much. There really is. Like, there's the resume feedback and job assessment, and just so many. And then it will help you. You can use AI to ask questions like, what is it like working at this company on a job post? And then who are some of the people that I could network with inside that company? So it really does make it more conversational, easier. There's one more free resource that I want people to pay attention to, and it's on the LinkedIn jobs page on the side menu, and it's their checklist for getting a job. So before you ask Lynnaire for her premium, I want you to go through and do everything on that list. It's a long list. But it's really going to be helpful. It's a checklist of everything that you need to do. And I guarantee you haven't done all of these things yet.
Or maybe all of us looking for jobs or not should go through that checklist as well. Hannah, that might not be a bad tip for the rest of us, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, right, let's move on then. Again, if you would like the list of the new features for job seekers, we have that available as a PDF at our linkability.biz site, but you will need to take the link that we have got in the comments because it's not a public page, only for those who are with us on our Linkability Live today. Let's move on now then to some strategies for getting that fabulous new job. Hannah, tell us what ideas you've got that people could be using to make sure they stand out from the competition.
Okay. So we all have heard that we need to network more, right? And this is where LinkedIn can be a really wonderful tool. But I want you to be purposeful in who you reach out to. So the first people that I want you to connect with on LinkedIn before anybody else are the people that you already know. Those past colleagues, past customers, past clients. Go find them on LinkedIn and connect with them. And in your message, when you send that message that you want to connect with them, it's simply, it's been a long time. I'm building up my LinkedIn network. We should have done this long ago. Looking forward to connecting, right? Simple, straightforward, that's it, right? These are people you already know, but you should connect with them on LinkedIn because you don't know who they know. And that will lead to then them probably sending you a message asking you what's new. And guess what? When they do that, you can say, I'd love to hop on a quick call. I'm looking for a new job. I want to run some ideas by you. And see what happens. So go through your LinkedIn and make sure that you're connected with all of those people that you should be connected with. The next thing I want you to do is then go to the network tab on your LinkedIn profile and see who LinkedIn recommends that you connect with. There are a lot of people that you're missing out on that you already know. So go find those people that you went to school with, that you have engaged with somehow on LinkedIn. Your goal is to build strategically a network of people that you already know. Once you've done that, then you can start reaching out to people that you would like to know. So those are people who work inside companies that you want to work for. They are either a peer or maybe they're the hiring manager. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's both. But before you connect with them, I want you to go to their profile and I want you to see how active they are on LinkedIn. And the secret here is if they haven't posted anything ever, then connecting with them on LinkedIn may not be all that fruitful for you. I would rank them sort of as a high risk, less likely to accept an invitation to connect. But if they're posting on LinkedIn and they've posted recently, before you send them an invite to connect, I want you to go comment on their post on LinkedIn. And I want you to do that for a couple of weeks and then send them the invitation to connect. Because every person who posts on LinkedIn sees the comments. We can't miss them. LinkedIn throws it in our face all the time, right? And oh, by the way, it's flattering. I want people to comment on my posts. So those people that you want to connect with that you don't really know that well yet, before you send them that invite to connect, I want you to comment on their post for a couple of weeks, or at least try for a couple of weeks, and then you have permission because they know who you are and they're much more likely to accept your invitation to connect. What happens is when we send blind posts to people to connect, they're like, who is this person? I don't know them. Some people are like, oh, great, I'll connect with you. But I would say a lot more people are like, I don't know this person and I don't know why they're trying to connect with me. So you can remove that fear, that risk factor by commenting on their posts, leaving a thoughtful, not just a great post, but a thoughtful comment. Grow your network. The other way to grow your network, and this is one of my favorite tricks, LinkedIn offers events. Oh, like this one, right? And You can search events by using the LinkedIn search bar. I want you to go find professional events, events related to your occupation or some aspect of your occupation. If you're a project manager, go type in project manager, then click on the events filter and look at all the events for project management and sign up for a couple of them. And when you are in an event, as you can see right now, there's a network tab. And that means that you can network with anybody who is in this event. Greatest thing ever. Now, for this event, it's a little awkward because we're all sort of job searching, and that's not necessarily as focused, as strategic as something related to your occupation. So that's my secret tip for meeting new people who have a similar professional interest.
I really like that one because you can do that on audio events as well. You can see who's in the room really easily,
Hmm.
and it allows you to look at their profile while you're listening to the audio event, and then you can reach out to connect with them right there and then and say, "We're on the same event. How are you finding it? Would love to connect." And so I think that's a really top tip, Hannah. So, and then again, one of those things that's for everybody as well as job seekers.
Right. And it's free, free, free,
and,
free.
and it's free.
You don't need
Now,
premium to do that.
no, you do not. One of the things, though, that I think has made life more difficult for people in the last year or so is the fact that now the number of personalized messages you can send with your connection invite has been dramatically reduced. Now, I understand it could be anywhere between 10 and 20
Yeah.
only per month. Now, that
Right.
makes it really, really difficult if you're trying to grow your network, as you have said. And so that's why your tip about commenting on people's posts is so valuable, because if you can't send a personalized message with your invite, then if the person recognizes your name at least from their posts and their content, then they are more likely to say yes. So another reason why you would do that. But it's also another reason to have premium, is because you don't have that same restriction
Right.
on the connection invite
You
messages.
still
And
have a
we
limit, but it's a higher limit.
much higher limit. And to be fair, I don't think that you can possibly manage that many new invitations anyway if you are doing it properly, by which I mean when they connect, you then send a follow-up message to say thank you, and then you keep in touch with them and grow that connection by having direct messages, sending videos, whatever you're doing. It just becomes completely unmanageable if you're trying to do too many of those. And so I think that it kind of self-limits,
Mhm.
really, and that is probably a useful thing. Although, to be fair, I'm also a fan of premium, so I do think there are some opportunities there. All right, so we've had some couple of really good strategies from you. What mistakes do people make when they are job seeking on LinkedIn?
I think a lot of people rely on the easy apply. Um, and while there's nothing really wrong with it, it becomes too easy. They haven't made changes to their profile to really show that they haven't added skills. They haven't added information that really would convey that they're a match, because when easy apply, it's really just taking information off your profile and throwing it over. So without doing the necessary prep work, your your application is not really going to get the attention it deserves. So easy apply, while it feels good, it's not as great if you don't take the necessary steps to beef up your profile to make sure you're a fit. Um, I think the other thing that people are relying on the job board to feed them all the jobs they need to see. And that just can't happen for a variety of reasons, right? Maybe we're not using the right job title. Maybe we haven't, maybe the job is not remote, and it could be remote and you just don't know that. There's so many, maybe the people are not putting the job on LinkedIn. Not
Okay.
all companies post a job on LinkedIn. It's expensive. Um, and they don't, I mean, even though they know they might get good people, it may not be in their budget. Their budget is for, let's say it's Indeed. That's the only place they can post jobs. So not all companies will post jobs on LinkedIn. However, here's a couple of workaround tricks. So LinkedIn does have a filter. So if you know you want to work for Microsoft, if you type in Microsoft in the search bar, then you can filter in the advanced filters for hiring now. So it will show you who in Microsoft is actually hiring now, which is a great way. But because not everybody is going to pay for a job ad on LinkedIn, what they're doing is that individual, maybe they're a recruiter, they create a post on LinkedIn that links to their job posting on their website or wherever else it is. So it's not on LinkedIn, but it's on LinkedIn. So if you go to the search bar and type "I'm hiring" in quotation marks, and you just see all of the new posts for the past week who said that, it will show you a lot of different companies and a lot of different people that are posting jobs that are not posted on LinkedIn. They're posted on Indeed or their personal website. So try "I'm hiring" and "we're hiring." Both of those search terms, because I'm not sure if they're, I saw more people listing "I'm hiring" than "we're hiring," but they use it both. So those are the free workarounds. So
Wow.
the mistake is relying on LinkedIn to be all things to all people. It is
Yeah.
just a tool. It is one place we can go to build relationships, to do research and intel, to find. If you go to that company page on LinkedIn, you can see all of the different people that work there, and you can sort and filter by where they went to school, where they live, what their job title or their job function is. So it's really rich data that is there. If we just use that to be smart and focused in our job search. So I think people are just, trying to quickly get there, but this is a process. It takes time. It takes a strategy. It takes being thoughtful. No one is going to give you a job just because they have a job open, that they want to hire the right person. So this is a process.
It is indeed a process. I absolutely agree. Now, I want to just put on a couple of questions on the screen.
I can't believe I
That
talk so much. I'm so
No,
sorry.
wow, I could talk to you for another hour. And so I'm really disappointed that we are coming up to the end of the time, because I know it's nearly 10 o'clock at night for you. So,
Oh, right. So an example of a value prop. Okay, so I help mid-level job seekers understand how to look for work so they can find a job faster. It would be better if I said, within 90 days, but I can't in good consciousness say that. But it is, this is who I help, this is what I help them with, and this is how they benefit from that.
all right, let's try this one here. So I'm a question about what something actually means.
Oh,
This is what does this mean?
Oh, you know what, Manvi? I keep hearing this question all over. There are a variety of reasons why companies will repost a job. They didn't get the candidate that they were looking for. So it could be that they they didn't like what they saw. It could be that the person that they ended up getting to the final stage turned them down. It could be that they're just fishing for candidates. So this is where you want to look at and make sure that it's a verified employer or a verified recruiter that is reposting jobs. Remember that 1,000 of candidates who applied, they didn't necessarily complete the application. They looked at they clicked on the apply now button. So we can't second guess, because it could be one of number of reasons. It doesn't mean anything necessarily, as long as they're a verified employer.
Well, the interesting thing too is there was a new post this morning about the verification of employers on LinkedIn in terms of jobs, and I think that that's a really good move forward for companies to be verified. They did start to look at that last year and put it out in beta, but someone from LinkedIn themselves this morning was talking about that and saying that they are rolling this one out now. So that's really a good thing to
Right.
have.
And recruiters can be verified too. Job posters can have to be verified too, or can be.
All right. Well, that looks good. Now, then, I was interested to see what you would answer in terms of this one. We did mention this one when we were talking about profiles, and it is a bit more difficult if you don't have a current job. Or what do you put as your current job title?
So this is what we recommend for people that so they don't put a career gap. They use the company name like in transition or open to work, whatever. If you go and you start typing in transition in the company field, you will see that that exists because so many people are using it. And then you enter in the value prop job title. You enter in the job title that you're aspiring to be in with some description after that. And then your first sentence under that is searching for my next great employer. And these are some of my past successes. These are the skills that I have. And this is what I want to do next. So you pretty much just make it a placeholder. Once you get a new job, that goes out and you delete it. But
All right, that makes sense. Now, a final one from Lance. Now, Lance did ask in another question about the headline character count, and it is 220, Lance, and hasn't unfortunately been increased to any higher than that, which would be nice though, wouldn't it? And he's also asked the second one here, says your book's fantastic, so we might get our hands on a copy of your, oh, there it is. Fantastic, the infographics. So what is, so they look amazing, but doesn't the ATS choke on them?
it's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, and we've got links for that in the comments.
Yep. Thanks, Lance. Right. Oh, let me just tell you cannot use that to apply for a job through an applicant tracking system. It is a supplement to your resume. It would be page 2, but you still will always have to have a text-based resume. The infographic resume is great for interviews, great for networking, and as a supplement to the traditional text-based resume.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for asking these great questions today. It's really good to have an audience who's really engaged in the topic. Now, Hannah, I want, before we just wrap up here, for you to leave us with a secret tip that would be really helpful for people in our audience today to use when they are next, or even if they're currently looking for a job, something that you might not have mentioned. Of course, we do think people should buy your book, available on Amazon, the link in the comments. Is there anything else that you can just share with us as a final secret tip?
Okay, I think I revealed a lot of my secrets. Oh, okay. If you want to connect with somebody who is not active on LinkedIn, use a tool, an email finding tool, which there are many of them that are free, and I can't remember for somebody on LinkedIn. Email, everyone checks email. Not everyone is active on LinkedIn. So I always tell people email, don't use LinkedIn messaging. LinkedIn messaging is only good for people who are active.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And again, whether you're looking for a job or wanting to do business on LinkedIn, if your target audience isn't active on LinkedIn, you're not going to reach them, whether you send them a direct message or not. All right. Any other last thoughts before we wrap it up? I really don't want to let you go. But
here's the thing I will say, it has nothing to do with LinkedIn, but join a community of fellow job seekers. There's so many of them out there, or create your own, because job seeking is isolating and you feel lonely, and like you need a cadre, a group of people that you can bounce ideas off of, support one another, and learn from. So form that group, because I have found through so much research that people who are part of those groups find jobs faster. They stay motivated, and I care.
And you care. There is no question that you care, because you have shared so much amazing information with us today. It's just been astonishing. So thank you so very much indeed. And I would like
and thank you for all your work in putting together that wonderful list. You all please download Lynnaire's list because of the LinkedIn features that have changed for job seekers in the past 2 years. I couldn't even get through all of them. There's so many.
There are an awful lot. So that link is in the comments. So please just pop over to linkability.biz and have a look at that. You're welcome to download it from there too. So Hannah, thank you so very much for joining us today, all the way from Canada, and near the Canada border, as I understand it. And it's just been an absolute pleasure. You've been a joy to work with on preparing this LinkedIn Live today, and I've just been thrilled to have you as our guest.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here too. This has been fun.
Well, I've enjoyed it as well. And we'll be back next month with another Linkability Live. But next week, we've got a Linkability radio show for you. And that, again, will be on Thursday. I talk a bit about new features and a topic of the day on that. And you are very welcome to join us on that at the same time next week. So, again, our grateful thanks to Hannah for joining us today. It's just been a pleasure to have you. And we will see you next time. Thanks so much. And bye for now.